I will call to order the Thursday, March 4th edition of Norton Select Board. Welcome, everyone. Let the record show that all 5 board members are present, as well as Town Manager Michael Units. Hope everyone is doing well. Jump right in. We have a couple of appointments this evening, starting with the appointment of Amanda Goodwin as a police matron to the Norton Police Department.
I can read it back if you want.
Please do, Michael. That'd be great.
To the Select Board from Michael Units, Town Manager, March 2nd, 2021. Notice of appointment on police matron. I hereby notify the Select Board that in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as appointing authority, I've appointed the following individual as police matron, Amanda Goodwin. Said appointment was made on March 2nd in accordance, 2021, in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter and will be effective March 17, 2021, unless the Select Board votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. However, I specifically request the board's acceptance of this appointment with the effective date of March 8, 2021. Please be advised if you have any questions. Michael Units.
All right. Does anybody have any questions on this appointment? Michael does.
What is a police matron, or is that what they call women patrolmen? I'm confused.
No, a police matron is only called in when there's a female prisoner to watch the prisoner.
Okay. Thanks, Jack. I was dying. I saw it on the agenda, and I was been curious all week. So I'd like to accept the appointment. Actually, I'll withdraw.
No, Michael, you're fine. I was going to second you. But then I was going to tell you there's a thing called Google, just for future.
Oh, Goggle? I just I can't get on it. I'd like to make the motion to accept the nomination, the appointment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Before we get to the vote, I would just like to acknowledge Amanda, I believe goes by Mandy as well. She is a former dispatcher for the town, so she is coming back to support the police department. I've had limited dealings with her over the past few months as the dispatchers were transitioned to new roles. She has been a champion for the folks as they tried to navigate the state's ridiculous unemployment process that has been slowed down. So just want to commend her for following through and trying to take care of people. I think that's seems to be in her nature, and I wish her well in the new role. So with my spiel over, we'll go to the vote. Meg?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. So congratulations to Ms. Goodwin. Next up, the appointment of Joseph F. Mullins as a part-time local inspector for the inspections department. So Mike, I don't know if we want to hear from Nick or just jump right into the letter.
It's up to you, Jack. I mean, so I can give you a quick synopsis. Joe's a great guy. He's from West Bridgewater. Has been in the construction trades for a fairly long time, owns his own business, knows his way around job sites and the trades and the code books. And we're excited to have him become part of the team in the inspections department. I think things are going to work out pretty well.
Excellent. That sounds great. Michael, take us away.
The Select Board from Michael Units, Town Manager, March 2nd, 2021. Notice of appointment of part-time local inspector. I hereby notify the Select Board that in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting my capacity as appointing authority, I've appointed the following individual as part-time local inspector, Joseph F. Mullins. Said appointment was made on March 2nd, 2021 in accordance with the provisions of the Charter and will be effective March 17th, 2021, unless the Select Board votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. Please be advised if there are any questions. Michael Units.
All right. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Joseph F. Mullins as a part-time local inspector for the inspections department.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. We'll go to the vote. Meg?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Renee?
Yes.
And I do vote yes. Congratulations to Mr. Mullins. Welcome
Thank you
aboard.
very much. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm jealous of your beams. That's a fun spot to be.
Thank you. It's a renovation in the making.
I thought it was a picture, one of those Zoom pictures. He wanted to look like he's in the role already, so.
That would have been a good idea, though.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Sir? All right, we have a third appointment for this evening, and that would be the appointment of Christine DeVoe to the Recreation Commission.
Okay.
I don't know if we have Sharon on. I see Christine's on. No, I think Sharon had sent a brief note indicating her excitement at Christine joining. I don't have that handy.
I mean,
I'll probably just read the appointment letter.
Yeah, I can. It's not an appointment letter, it's a letter from Christine, so I'm not sure if it, should want me to read that, do you want to read that?
I think we're probably good. So, any discussion on the appointment, other than to say that Sharon is very excited to have a new member? All right, Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Christine DeVoe to the Recreation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. I'll go to the vote. Meg?
Yes.
Brad?
Aye.
Oh, Michael?
Aye.
Renee?
There is for a whirl there, yes.
And I too vote yes. It did throw me off. Right, congratulations, Christine.
Thank you all.
Thank you for volunteering. That's great.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to licenses and permits. Review and or vote to approve the special events application for the Spring Bunny Ride scheduled for Saturday, March 27th.
Is it just a bunny ride, Jack, or is it the Easter bunny ride?
It's the Spring Bunny Ride.
Oh, is it? I apologize.
Non-denominational, I would imagine.
Oh, okay, okay.
Just happens to coincide with a certain holiday. All right. Do we have any information on this? I think it's in the packet, and I'm just falling behind here.
It looks like Michael has it in his hand.
But in my hand, if you want, I can just go through it, Jack, if you're
That would be super fantastic, Michael. Thank you.
wonderful. So Sharon Rice from Parks and Rec is applying for this. The procession will go through Norton, Route 123 to South Washington Street to Plain to Pine, to the Norton Fire Department. Emergency vehicles and DJs only. It will be, proposed date is March 27th, which is a Saturday, and there is a rain date if needed for March 28th, the 21st. Start at the Salmonese School, and they're gonna start the Salmonese School, or what's really gonna meet. The event start time is 12 p.m. The ending is between 12:30 and 1. And they're asking people to be, to socially distance along the parade route, but they're asking people just to show up on the parade route. Will have amplified sound, no animals, minus just the bunny, and there is no admission fee. I covered everything just in the packet.
That's great, Michael. Thank you. Any questions or comments on this?
I just want to say thank you, Michael, for the clarification that the bunny is allowed.
Well, I wanted to make sure there was no confusion.
Is it an actual bunny? Do we need to get animal control to sign on as well? All right. So unless there's any further discussion, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the special events application for the Spring Bunny Ride scheduled for Saturday, March 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. We'll vote. Meg,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Michael,
Aye.
Renee,
Yes.
and I too vote yes. I think that was one of the earlier events in our new COVID lifestyle that Parks and Rec adapted to last year. And it was great to see a very large man-sized rabbit on the back of a fire engine waving to the kids. It's a nice little respite. So sad that we have to do that again for another year, but it's a good way to bring some joy through the town. So
That's right. Next year we'll resume Easter egg, right, Jack?
I hope so, Peter. I like to go on Easter egg hunts. I tend to be better at that than my kids, and I get all the candy. All right. So, thank you, Sharon, for putting that together again. Any announcements this evening?
I've got a couple, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, go for it.
From the Senior Center, St. Patrick's Day drive-through, Wednesday, March 17th. They're going to be having music by California Carl. A drive on up, sing a bit with California Carl, bring home an Irish dinner. If you are interested, reach out to the Senior Center at 508-285-0285. And also, it's not too late for fuel assistance. This winter may drag on here for a little bit. Let's hope not. But if you are interested, please reach out to the Senior Center again at 508-285-0235. If you have any questions about eligibility, give them a call. They have all the details and the breakdowns by the number of people in households. But don't let the fuel. Don't just assume you're not qualified. Reach out to Beth Rossi and her team, and they'll be glad to help you on that. I know Sharon did have an announcement, but I don't see it. So if anyone else has something.
So I do, unless anyone else has anything, there's one thing I'd like to address. I would just like to extend an apology to Michael for part of last week's meeting. We were discussing the potential application or the potential special legislation for additional alcohol licenses. And while I think the discussion was good, it veered off the intent. And I think we dragged the potential application of a select board member into a discussion on the merits of the licenses and whether they should be brought or not pursued. So I think I would like to extend an apology to Michael for not curtailing that during the time. I think there's a time in the future that may come up again, but it was not supposed to happen last week, in my opinion. I think the intent of the discussion should have been specifically on the merits of the special legislation and not any potential applicants. So I apologize for not being a better chair and for not steering that conversation back on topic. So Michael, I apologize. And
thank you for recognizing that, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Apologies? Haikus?
You really want to, I got a list of some long, Jack, but I'm not sure we have enough time.
All right. Well, this works out well. It is precisely 7:15. As we transition to new business, we do have a 7:15 hearing on the application of Atia Reed, DBA Two Sons Auto Brokers, for a Class 2 license to buy, sell, exchange, or assemble secondhand motor vehicles at 407 Old Colony Road.
Hi.
Good evening, Ms. Reed. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Mike, you want to take us through this?
Sure. So I know Atia, am I saying that right, by the way?
It's Atia.
Atia and Jennifer have worked very hard on this application.
Yeah, she's been extremely helpful.
And so this is for a used car license at 407 Old Colony Road. And if you don't mind, if Atia can explain a little bit about what you plan on doing there.
Basically, it's kind of like a Carvana type car sales. I also plan on brokering, meaning if someone wants to purchase a car, I'm able to, you know, find the car that they're looking for, things like that. Basically just car sales. And, you know, to basically sell cars to pay my bills, basically.
And could you just explain to everyone exactly where your location is?
Oh, 407 Old Colony Road, right across from the car wash.
Thanks.
Great. Any questions for Ms. Reed?
Chair.
Yep, Michael?
Just sales, or is there gonna be repairing, or is there gonna be any warranty?
No, just sales.
If just for clarification, you would sit across from the car wash. Is
Yes.
that where the existing auto sales was?
No, there's actually one
Okay.
directly across.
Okay.
Or seven?
The general area is good enough. It's just I was trying to picture it, that's all.
Mr. Chair, if I may, it's, just to clarify, it's next to the Fisherman's Three restaurant down
Yes,
there.
yes, right next to the Fisherman Restaurant.
Yep, next door to Fisherman's 3.
Yes, yes, exactly right there.
And next door to the former Cozy Bean Wine Store.
Yes, yes, that's at the end.
Very good.
Laying cars there and having cars on location.
Yes.
And can I ask, I noticed your hours of operation, you're listed 7 days a week by appointment only. Is that due to COVID, or do you anticipate that those are going to be your hours permanently?
That is due to COVID, but once COVID passes, I would figure 9 to 5 from Saturday to Saturday, basically, no Sundays.
Okay, and Mike, does that need to be reflected on this application?
The hours of operation.
Yeah, well, if the hours that she's indicated are primarily due to COVID, should we also state on here the hours that she anticipates once the emergency is over?
Yes, I would.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep, go ahead, I was muted. Yep.
Okay. And you already have gotten license from the state to sell vehicles?
It's only the town.
It's only in town, okay.
Yeah.
How many vehicles do you anticipate having on site, or is this more of a brokerage you bring in as
It's
you
more
send
of
out?
a brokerage. I would say roughly 3 to 5.
Great.
And I'm going to be selling like cheaper vehicles just to keep the business afloat and going.
Excellent. I see here that you have this is an agreement with a repair facility for Chris's Auto Repair in Mansfield.
Yes, that is correct. And he's been a long time mechanic. Good guy.
So any other questions on this?
Can I just clarify the hours after COVID? Is that 9 to 6?
Yeah, I could put, 9 to 6 is, yes.
I mean, that's what it says on the application, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, does this go through any sort of special permitting?
No, there's no special permit required. It's just inspected by the building inspector who checked out the location.
Okay, he already has checked it out?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and it's appropriate for the number of cars, like I see where it says that the cars will be located on the lot. I think it said in front, but I may have read that wrong.
It's actually 3 in front and 3 in the back.
Okay.
What kind of signage are you gonna have? Did I not see that?
It's just a sign that's out front that indicates it's a big banner in the front. That's on the building. And then on the window it tells you like the hours and things like that and what we do.
And the building inspector did check the parking to make sure that there were, with these cars, there'd be enough parking for the whole building and all the other uses.
Yes.
Okay, and do you have a backup plan if your inventory, if you exceed the 6 that you anticipate, if business is going well and you have an opportunity to get more?
They would stay at the auction, and actually I don't plan on going over what I'm allowed.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Any other questions? Seeing none, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the application of Tia Reed, DBA Two Sons Auto Brokers for a Class 2 license to buy, sell, exchange, or assemble secondhand motor vehicles at 407 Old Colony Road, with the understanding that post-COVID, the hours would be 9 to 6.
Correct.
I'm sorry, is that Monday to Saturday or Monday to, is that 7 days a week still?
No, 6 days.
Okay, so post-COVID, it'll be Monday through Saturday?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So
Still
moved.
moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. What a vote. Meg?
I'm gonna say no, only because I think we need a better plan than just throwing out random new businesses. I'd like to see more of a thoughtful way we approach this, so I'm gonna say no.
All right. Brad?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Renee?
Chat point for discussion. Mike, can you give an example of what you mean for more thought out?
Again, just sort of adding new businesses without sort of a more holistic discussion just bothers me. I think even thinking about what the signage is going to look like, this is where I think our town is so disjointed and
I actually put up a sign already. It's already on the front of the building.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, I'm more thinking like aesthetically, like how, I don't know, just putting some thought into sort of the businesses that we build along, I don't know, within our town and sort of making what makes sense and what doesn't. I feel like it's such a hodgepodge as it is that that's just my opinion.
And Mike, just for clarification, I know you said there's no special permit, there's no additional permitting, right? It's just the building commissioner approving the location, and that's the process that's in place per our bylaws? You're muted. I think you're looking for that.
I was, yep. Yeah, that's the process. The building inspector has to go through and check the property, make sure it's suitable, make sure it's zoned for the use, and then the permit from you.
Okay, thank you. So Jack, I will vote in favor. I vote yes for this, given that is the process that we follow in the town, and I'm certainly excited to have another women-owned business within Norton.
I too vote yes. And congratulations, Ms. Reed, and best of luck with your new venture.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Good luck, Ms. Reed.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Michael.
could we go to 3, 4, and 5 on the agenda? Because there's people on that are interested in those subjects, and we could come back to the budgets later.
I am open to that. My only question is, do we have anybody that's here to talk about the budget that has a hard stop? I know last time we ran out of time with Jen and Carlene. No, just want to make sure we're giving folks the opportunity.
Unfortunately, the veterans agent, the council on aging director couldn't be on tonight, so they're not here. So
okay, then I guess it's a non-issue. So let's jump to 3, 4, 5. All right, number 3 is a vote to set special town meeting. So I know we've talked about wanting to do a special during the upcoming town meeting. Can you just refresh my memory on what the timing is for how far in advance it needs to open,
Yep.
how long it could stay open?
Okay, if you voted tonight, the warrant for the special town meeting would open, and we'd notify all the departments, boards, and committees tomorrow and put an ad in the newspaper. It'll be published in the newspaper on the 9th. And the special town meeting warrant would close on March 16th. That would be the 5th business day. And we'd forward a copy of the warrant to the Finance Committee Chair, the moderator, and the town clerk by March 29th. And then the special town meeting warrant has to be posted a minimum of 14 days before the town meeting. So we'd propose to post that around April 22nd, would give us a couple days. And then post the special town meeting with warrants and recommendations April 29th. And the special town meeting would be, what time did we set town meeting for?
We haven't yet.
We did set a time, okay. So you will have to set a time for both. And usually the special town meeting is 15 minutes to a half hour after the town meeting opens.
Can someone explain to me, and I apologize that I don't know why is there a special town meeting for inside of our regular town meeting? And I probably know the reason, I just don't recall.
Because the annual town meeting is to address issues for next year's starting July 1. So anything that's approved on the annual warrant
It's for the next.
is for the next fiscal year, and the special town meeting takes care of any items that need to be funded in this fiscal year.
Thank you for the clarification.
So can I ask, is there a certain push to open it now versus later? And having a meeting close on March 16th still leaves almost 2 months before our scheduled meeting. Is it perhaps preferable to do this a bit later on with more notice to folks that they have time to pull information together?
Well, I mean, people do know that it's coming up, and it's just a matter of trying to get everything done in a proper way and give time for the Finance Committee and yourselves to review anything that is put on that warrant.
So Jack, my thoughts on this recommendation is for us to defer this to another time, because I think we do have the time to do it at a later date. And also we haven't been through the town meeting warrant completely to determine, I know we've talked about some articles that weren't on there, but I don't see why we should open it this early when it closes in 5 days, when the warrant closes in 5 days. I think we have some time to wait. And certainly I don't think that's going to, as Mike said, everybody knows that this is coming. I don't think that's going to delay anybody doing the work that they need to do.
Renee, do you have a target date that you'd want to see it? Do you have a calendar in front of you, a target date of, just so I'm trying to back it into one of our meetings and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about before, the 24th was the last day to take articles off of the warrant, the annual town meeting warrant. I think because it's open for 5 days, I think we have until late March or early April to do it. And, that will help us if we have more discussion while we're going through the annual town meeting warrant. That gives us some leeway or flexibility that if we need to put something on the special, we can.
So if we did it on the 25th, tentatively, I think we have a meeting planned for the 25th. Could we open it there?
I think that's a potential.
I tend to be of the same mind, Renee. I think we have a bit more time, so why rush it? But I leave that to the pleasure of the board.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman.
we'll look at the calendar. If you do open it the 25th, then it has to be advertised in the paper. And they believe, and I know Jen can correct me if I'm wrong, they publish on Tuesdays. So,
Well, it would be the same, Mike, right? Because we're still looking at a Thursday of doing it.
right.
It just changes the date 2 weeks.
So I know that. So if it's 3/25 that you have your meeting, so the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th.
Fifth day, it is the fifth day, right?
So it'll be published on the 29th.
I think that gives us enough time. It would have to be finalized on the 23rd, right? That's 14 days beforehand. 23rd of April. So it puts us around the same time.
Like, did you answer why you want to open it so early, or is this all just a boilerplate that you're just trying to get everything done and lined up?
Well, it's just because we don't know what's going to be on there. And as you said, you've got articles to review for the annual, and now you're going to have articles to review for the special. Just want to make sure everyone has time to review everything.
Where are we on the ETM? I mean, I know we went through them. Mike, you gave us a brief description, but we haven't actually addressed any completely, right, other than the project?
No. You have the draft warrant, correct?
I'm going to ask Jen. Is that in our packet? I know it's a really big
No,
file.
not tonight, it's not. So
Okay.
I'll make sure you have that.
So, I mean, we plan to meet every week, whether it be on Thursdays or the transition to Mondays to meet with FinCom, right? So that we are more efficient in the process. So I would say I think we can revisit it on the 18th and see where we are. That still gives us time if the board's amenable to that.
Yeah, Renee, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's a good idea, revisit on the 18th, but I think we should be shooting for the 25th as long as we have publishing done and so forth. I think doing it a little bit later as possible gives us an opportunity there, but.
Yeah. So I tend to agree. So how about we say we revisit this on the 18th and we set a hard deadline to vote on 3/25. Does that seem reasonable?
It's reasonable, but I think we should shoot for voting on the 18th. I do understand what Mr. Yunus is talking about, the fact that people are going to want to have time to look at the articles, to vote on them, and it's not like it's just the five of us. There's the Finance Committee, and I'm not sure if there might be other committees who are affected by them.
Right, and I think, Brad, to that point, we should plan that for special town meeting, we have joint meeting, and let's take advantage of that process.
And it also has to go to town council to review.
Yeah.
All right, so Mike, why don't we put on for discussion and possible vote to set special town meeting on 3/18. That way it gives us leeway to go both. I see both points, more time to give people notice to file, and then more time to give people to discuss and review.
Mike, how many are you expecting right now? Because I imagine you've had conversation with your staff.
I haven't received, I know the schools may have some, but I think they might be able to make it without any need for budget supplement. So, we'd have the budget supplements. You just never know if someone's going to submit a petition article.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we'll be putting on the building projects.
would have been great just from my knowledge. So a regular annual town meeting, once it opens, how many days is it just to close?
I don't remember that. I forget.
Hold on, I have it.
I have to look it up. I didn't bring that with me.
I'm looking at the timeline. Let me see, Michael, if I can grab that.
It's not open.
It's based on it's not necessarily based on when we announce a town meeting. It's based on a certain amount of days before the town meeting. So I think it's 90 days it has to close before town meeting. And I think we closed this one at 96 days, and I might be off a little bit. Mike, does that sound familiar?
I
For
don't.
JTM?
So give or take, it's approximately about 90 days versus the first 5 days.
Yeah. So the bylaw says the date schedule for the warrant to close is at least 90 days. The fall ATM is 45, and then the special town it closes 5 days after we open.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
It's weird that they're all different. But to Mike's point, the special town meeting warrant has to post 14 days before the meeting. And let me see, I think and the annual town meeting has to post 7 days before. So even when you post it, they're different times. Very odd.
It is odd. Speaking of odd, I have an idea. Mike, can we vote for something in the future, hypothetically, to say, we would vote to open a special town meeting on 3/18? So kind of commit to an action in the future. That way it's done. I see Renee shaking her head.
I don't think it's not like a point of order to vote on. I think we're mature enough to say if we want to commit to voting on the 18th, then let's just commit to it and put it on there and we'll vote. And then it's actually really the next meeting and the 18th, we need to get through all the articles on the annual.
So point of clarification. Thank you for questioning that. It would not be to force ourselves to vote. It would be voting now to have the special town meeting open on 3/18. I just wasn't sure if the action of opening the special was tied to when the vote was taken.
Good question.
Or future.
Yeah, just say we want to open a special town meeting on this date. We know this now. Let's.
Which I think that's the whole point. We don't know this now, right? Like the point is for us to discuss it and then potentially vote on it. So I don't think we should back ourselves into anything. Let's just plan. Let's take our best ability to plan to do it on the 18th. But if we feel that we're not far enough along in the annual town meeting, we know that we have an extra week to do it.
Works too. Just trying to get creative here.
I know. I appreciate that, but let's not box ourselves in either. We've had enough struggles with the meetings.
All right. Any further discussion on that? Otherwise, we'll revisit it on 3/18. All right. We'll jump to 4, discussion and vote to approve the ballot question regarding debt exclusion for the new town hall, senior and community sports center, and athletic complexes. So what I can do is I have the proposed language open in a window, if I can find it.
If anybody has the page that's on in our packet.
I don't have electronically, I have it.
I have it if you want me to share the article. I mean, the draft.
I have it up.
Would you like me to, Chairman?
I can take care of it since I got it in front of me. I just made it a little bigger so hopefully everybody can see that. The question as proposed by town council, shall the town of Norton be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to plan, design, construct, furnish, and equip a municipal center located at 70 and 78 East Main Street, a senior/community center to be located at 120 Mansfield Avenue, and a Norton Public Schools community athletic complex to be located on the grounds of the Norton High School, 66 West Main Street, and the Henry A. Yell Elementary School, 64 West Main Street, and for all incidental and related costs, including, but not limited to, costs for professional services such as design, contract administration, professional and owner's project management, as well as site preparation and demolition. Just a point of clarification for anyone who's curious, we are legally prohibited from putting the dollar value into the question. It can be in the town meeting warrant, is where that's set. That was news to me this week.
Jack, I have a couple questions on this. Why are we using the language municipal center in this versus town hall? And just to clarify, 70 is the existing building and 78 is the property next to it that we would acquire for this project?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so do we know why municipal center is in there?
Isn't that on the building itself today? Isn't the sign on the building called Municipal Center? Am I wrong with that, or?
Well, I'm a little confused that, you know, if we call it a municipal center in this, but yet all the communication has been town hall.
Yep, okay, great. I have a question.
Yeah, unless there's issue to keep it municipal center, I think a town hall is consistent with that. And similarly, that would be a senior and community support center.
Should we capitalize athletic complex?
Yep. We're saying
Could I share my screen?
I suppose you can.
All right.
I'm just waiting for you to tell no, but you did a good job on mute.
All right. Well, actually, as Michael too was saying, we do call it the municipal center. Now, as you can see on the letterhead, I know, I don't remember what the building committee has been calling it. I know Diner is on there.
I got it right here. I got the brochure right here.
Yeah, okay.
It's definitely town hall and the senior and community support center. Those are the names.
Okay.
I mean, if we need to put something like equip a town hall, like, to be known as municipal center, I just think it's important for us to be consistent with our language on what we're sharing with the community, because Dinah and all the groups, right, have done a lot of presentations now. I wouldn't want to trip us up because somebody thinks it's, municipal center to me is like, kind of like what Mansfield did, right? Like, yeah, they put the fire department, the water department, like we are just talking about one building to go within a municipal
complex
center. Yeah, it's still a wrong word, but.
And all the advertising and all that with the brochures and all that I have in front of me, it says Norton Town Hall.
I'm sure that Lauren was just going by what we had on the letterhead.
Yeah, I don't think that's materially changing the nature of the question. It's just clarifying the terms.
Well, one other thing I wanted to discuss is in here, it has added in here also land purchases in case there's, it depends on how you're going to use any monies that we have. I know when all the prices were figured out by the architect, they included the cost of the land. So doesn't mean you have to do it, but at least if you leave it in here and it's part of the borrowing, it would be covered.
Did we approve the cost already for the land purchase at the last town meeting?
Yes.
You did. And when the architect prepared all his cost estimates, he put an estimated value in there for both properties.
So Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, by including it in this language, even though it's been appropriated already, it allows us to bond it as part of the debt exclusion.
Right, if that's what you decide to do. You don't have to, but if it at least would be in there.
Because we do have about $1,050,000 left in the Elm Island permit account that we had talked about putting towards the land.
So,
Does that have to be voted too separately?
No, the selectmen already received the authority to purchase the land.
Okay. Can I ask you guys, if we keep the land purchases in here, what's the downstream impact? Because we've already approved the purchases. Sounds like we have some of the funds. If we put it on the vote here, then we also have to put it on the town meeting, right? In the same fashion?
Well, everything that we're voting on in the town meeting article has the values that the architect established with the cost of the land in there.
I know, but we separated it out already.
So this would just give you the option, either you borrow and use that money to pay off the note, or you use that money to buy the land.
I think the intent of the article, as it was originally approved, was to demonstrate to the sellers that the town was committed to these projects, and there was a reasonable assumption to be made that they would move forward. We just didn't want to negotiate in bad faith. So I don't believe great consideration was given to the funding source for that, since we knew we had the Elm Island funds and we had the upcoming debt exclusion.
Right, but it's already, that value has already been allocated within our budget because it was approved.
It's authorized.
It's authorized, it's not allocated.
It was just authorized to a maximum amount, one figure.
And this article is just saying all of these costs, we want to be able to put within the debt. It actually doesn't say debt exclusion, does it?
no, but it says up in top,
Exempt from proposition.
like
Right.
2.5. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's not going to cause any sort of confusion or issue later on.
So to that point, Mike, is there, we all know that debt exclusions are part of the 2.5 provisions, state law 2.5 provisions. Is that clear enough in this question about that?
This is the way bond council and town council say it has to be written. I mean, we can't,
Can't change it.
you can't put language in there to try and satisfy someone. It has to be legally written like this.
What did you ask, Michael, about putting in?
Just a reference and somehow even, right, I don't know the legalities of it, but if there is after the provisions section of the 2.5, if there's a debt, like if you can put debt exclusion, because I think everyone, it's the 2.5 overrides have a different connotation versus debt exclusions.
It almost seems like, shall the town of Norton be allowed to exempt from provisions, proposition 2 1/2, so-called debt exclusion. It seems like there would be a spot for it right there. I hear what you're saying. But,
Jack, you just said it perfectly. That's exactly how I imagined it.
And they stipulate in here that the amount required to pay for the bond issued. So that's all as far as whatever bond is issued for this project.
okay. And the bond would be set by town meeting approval.
Correct.
Mike, we got to vote on this tonight. Because Jack, I would almost want to see legal counsel be okay with that change that you just said.
So we can create a specialized motion to request with the debt exclusion, as we discussed, if approved by legal counsel. And should it not be approved, I'm getting long-winded in tying things together, but I'm sure if we sent both options to Lauren tonight, we would have an answer back. And that way, by at least approving the other one, Lucia would be able to go to print. Tomorrow's her deadline.
Right, but we have to vote on it before she goes to print.
Right, but he was indicating to vote whichever way town council would allow, preferably with the notation of the override.
Jack, can you put up your version, because we've already changed the wording on it?
Indeed. We wrest control back from Mr.
No.
Town Manager.
You can't have it.
Oh,
Someone mute him.
Don't worry, he'll mute himself. We'll take care of it. What do we even do when we don't have these virtual digs that we can do with people?
So Jack, can you highlight that and then copy it and then put one below and then so this is one version, and then the second version that we're proposing, then add in the debt exclusion into that section.
Yeah, let's do this. Watch me. I keep my touchpad is very sensitive.
It does not want to let you get off of that.
No.
Okay, so we have, call this one preferred and callback. All right.
Actually, no, it's the other way. It's the other way. It's the other way around. The preferred is the bottom one with the debt exclusion.
Well, yes, I made a change that, Michael.
Oh, yeah,
haven't made
good
any
point, Ray.
I got you.
So it's a so-called debt, a debt exclusion. This is stressful. Everyone watch me type. And then, Mike, I know we had put in here, including but not limited to land purchases and costs for professional services. Is that how you have it written?
You're on mute. You're back on mute, Mike.
Let
You still on? Yeah.
Let me review it. So, but including but not limited to land purchases, costs for professional services such as, so right there.
Yep.
Right.
Land purchases, costs for professional services. All right. Thank you. Now,
And Jack, we're probably going to, if we're going to be consistent, athletic complex, is it? I don't think the word field is in that.
is it not? Okay.
In the brochure, it's not.
All right. So how do these look? We have our debt exclusion. And then the other. Want me to read them again? No. Shall the town of Norton be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, a so-called debt exclusion, the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to plan, design, construct, furnish, and equip a town hall located at 70 and 78 East Main Street, a senior and community support center to be located at 120 Mansfield Avenue, and a Norton Public Schools community athletic complex to be located on the grounds of the Norton High School, 66 West Main Street, and the Henry A. Yale Elementary School, 64 West Main Street, and for all incidental and related costs, including but not limited to land purchases, costs for professional services such as design, contract administration, professional and owner's project management, as well as site preparation and demolition.
Can I ask another question, Jack?
Sure.
Are you gonna send that to Lauren?
Yes, I will send that to Lauren and Lucia.
Can,
Mr. Chair, oops, sorry.
can you ask Lauren when you do send that? That, and when you vote tonight, ask her if you vote tonight and the board votes to support this, and then have the board also vote to authorize you to sign it.
Okay.
Then we'd only have to get you to sign it tomorrow.
Mr. Chair, may I say something?
Yes, Lucia.
Hello. I'm assuming you are all aware that this does have to be finalized by tomorrow, or it will not be able to go on the ballot. It's not a question of getting the ballot printed. It's the deadline to put this question on the ballot.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thank you.
Jack, can you make it to town hall tomorrow?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I didn't know if we wanted to vote for a backup as well.
I could send it to you by hello sign too, Jack.
Yeah, hello sign would be perfect.
Is that a universal symbol, Renee?
Yes. Well, that's the first part of it. I didn't know what to do for sign.
Actually, I think it's,
Wait, I can't see you because we're on share. Where'd you go? Do it, Michael. Oh.
Been a long
go
week.
back the other way.
All right, so I think we're good with the language as written with the two options. Then
make a motion. Are you gonna make the motion, Jack?
if I try to say all that again, I will trip over my own tongue. So I will let you take a stab at it.
Do you want me to read it, or do you want to just make the wording that we're voting to, if approved by legal, the debt at the first part, and then if not approved, we will move forward with the second one? Is that what the motion will say, right?
If that is allowable per Mike, then yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay, you're still on mute, Mike.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
And then take another vote to authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the board.
Okay. I'll make that in the same, I can make that in the same motion. So I'd like to make a motion that the select board approved the preferred language for the, oh no, I'm messing it all up here, Jeff. You're right.
You want me to do it, Michael?
Yeah, Renee, take care of it.
Okay. I move that the select board approve the preferred debt exclusion language to read, shall the town of Norton be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2 a so-called debt exclusion the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to plan, design, construct, furnish, and equip the town hall located at 70 and 78 East Main Street, a senior and community support center to be located at 120 Mansfield Avenue, and Norton Public Schools Community Athletic Complex to be located on the grounds of Norton High School, 66 West Main Street, and the Henry A. Yale Elementary School, 64 West Main Street, and for all incidental and related costs, including but not limited to land purchases, costs for professional services such as design, contract administration, professional and owner's project management, as well as site preparation and demolition. In the event that the language cannot include debt exclusion, then the board would approve the secondary or fallback language to read, shall the town of Norton be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to plan, design, construct, furnish, and equip the town hall located at 70 and 78 East Main Street, the Senior and Community Support Center to be located at 120 Mansfield Avenue, and the Norton Public Schools Community Athletic Complex to be located on the grounds of the Norton High School, 66 West Main Street, and the Henry A. Yale Elementary School, 64 West Main Street, and for all incidental related costs, including but not limited to land purchases, cost for professional services such as design, contract administration, professional and owner's project management, as well as site preparation and demolition.
And make the chair.
We'll do that second, Michael.
Brad seconded.
Okay. I would just like to point out that Renee, you did a phenomenal job, but Mike did say we didn't actually need to read it into the record.
I know, but I figured on the off chance that there's an issue, it's read into the record.
Okay.
And I know you're going to copy Jen so that she has the language too.
Yep. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Go to the vote. Meg?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too will vote yes.
And Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that the board supports you signing the language for the ballot question on behalf of the entire select board.
Second.
All right, thank you, Renee. Meg?
Can you not hear me? Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Brad?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Renee?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, I spoke. All right, thank you. So we will send that over. I will stop sharing. Okay. Thank you very much for that. That was good. And then finally, we have discussion on the development of a town parking area. So Mike, you want to unmute?
That's going to be your new name, Mike, if you want to unmute.
I just want to put up, so I just want to have a discussion and see if we could have the board's support to explore this. And I know Brian Shirtliff is on. I know he's interested in this. This, you can see, is the area where the Trent Memorial is. And what we want to look at is the possibility of developing a parking area behind the Trent Memorial. That would be a municipal parking area, so that it could be used by people visiting the Trent Memorial. It could be used by people visiting other businesses there, or going over the senior center even. And I know that Brian is interested in the possibility that this would be some of his customers could use this for parking. So just a way to get some parking down in that area. And, you know, we have the Trent Memorial right now, but there really isn't a parking area there. And I'm not sure what we'll use as far as this should just be to let us explore it and see how we would develop it.
And Mike, another piece that this could potentially support would be the whole village.
Correct.
Area, right?
Yes.
So as we try to create a walking downtown over the next decade or two,
Right.
People are going to need a spot to park.
Right. And I know it's funny because I had this discussion with Paul a while back, and he's like, oh, I don't know if we need parking. We want people to walk. I said, yeah, but they need a place to park so they can walk. And this was last year, and then I went down to the Cape, and in Dennis Village, they had just built a brand new parking area so that people could walk to the businesses along Route 6A. So I couldn't wait to take pictures and send them back home.
And this actually came up in one of the earlier master plan conversations about they hadn't planned for adequate parking. So I think it's a great opportunity.
Mr.
Yes, Mike.
Mike, has there been any discussion with National Grid about that electrical transfer station, relocating it, improvements? I mean, it's because if you think about it, we're gonna, if the plan scheme, put that back up, I'm sorry. Can we put that photo back up?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me grab it.
The reason I asked that is, and the only thing that I love the idea of that parking, and if it supports the concept of us just passing the village core, But as the senior center, as the plans for the senior center, if passed, that land's gonna be available. And the only thing that's really stopping the land behind there and that is that transfer station. Has there been any discussion from National Grid about that transfer station? Or there been any future plans or any discussions about that?
I don't think there has.
Because they need to build more, they need to build more in town. We only have 2 in town. I mean, there's a point where they have to kind of invest in our infrastructure, hopefully. But, yeah, I mean, as of right now, I think it's supporting. I just don't want to tie us in because that land, if the debt exclusion goes in, that's a prime strip of land that the town's going to own that I would love to see maybe even turned over a commercial opportunity and so forth. So.
Is that town owned, once that parcel, Mike?
The parcel where the substation is,
The parcel that's highlighted in blue, the one, I think that says 178 maybe, or 176?
it's actually owned by the Water and Sewer Department.
Okay, and then what about parcel 89?
I love when she starts quoting numbers from map sheet.
Oh, that's the senior center.
Yeah,
isn't it?
okay, that's fine. I
Senior
can play
center
this
in the
game.
garage?
Yep, it is.
Okay.
So which one is 89?
89 is the senior, the council on aging now.
Right here.
The Little Red Schoolhouse. And I asked because Michael, you brought up a point and Jack brought up a point, but hopefully, we'll pass the projects in that building. I mean, we've talked about it, right? It's beyond repair, but that could be a potential opportunity as well in the future to support parking within that area too. So I don't know if that's something that can alternately just be kind of a thought during this process, if you have to bring in specific people and maybe,
Renee, I look at that, we talked about the EDC, that lot, that the Council on Aging lot, if you could figure out something to do with the salt shed or the storage shed behind it, that might be an opportunity for a business to expand into that spot and build something that they've been looking to do long-term, right?
Mr. Units, does the school department still use the garage for their tractors?
They do.
I thought that was the highway department, it was the school department.
school.
School department.
And it was some crazy number to relocate it to because of what was like its current infrastructure. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I felt like it was somewhere, I don't know why I'm thinking 8 million. I think that's too high, but I remember the conversation about moving that.
I think it was more like in the area of 800,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least I got the 8 right.
8,800,000.
They were talking,
It's one extra zero.
I think they were talking about possibly erecting a space metal building to take its place on school property.
A what building, Fred?
I call it space, it was a company, but the prefab metal frame buildings, they're all sheet metal or maybe aluminum.
Yeah.
No, but I'll pretend I know.
It's not an expensive, it's not an expensive building. It's an industrial type metal building. They're pretty inexpensive to put up. So, Mike, what's the process if you wanted to explore this and Paul wanted to I'm assuming this would fall into Paul to kind of push forward, is that correct?
Yeah, we would reach out to the Water and Sewer Commission, obviously, and then talk with Keith Silver at the Highway Department and see, what would be the best way to develop it and develop some cost estimates and then come back.
Like, what was that little underneath the number itself in the parcel? Is that a structure?
Let me, want me to get it back up? Let me get it back up.
Sure, if you don't mind.
Yep. Michael doesn't want to see my face anyways. He keeps telling me to put this back on the screen.
I'm just saying.
I will say it's a little weird when we're sharing screens and I don't see your faces anymore. It throws me off. It's like,
What were you looking at, Renee?
Right underneath the number for the parcel, that white. Maybe are those trucks?
Those are trailers that were parked there that day.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Is there any chance that, and I'm not sure if it's appropriate or not, I see Mr. Shirtliff on the call, the meeting. Is there any chance that, you know, he might be able to give us some color on, well, you know, if this would enhance his business at all? Is that appropriate or not?
I'm willing to entertain if Mr. Shirtliff's willing to chat.
Is he, I'm not sure if he's still on or not.
No, I'm here. I was trying to figure out how to unmute. Apologies.
Don't worry, Mike.
I thought I needed special permission to do that, so I apologize. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it brief. You know, having been kind of sitting in this area for a while now as a business, you know, if you really look from the Common all the way down to Freeman Street, there are very, very few parcels that are materially over an acre. You know, we've got the one that we're currently sitting in, Walgreens, obviously. Excuse me, Wendell's lot is a good sized lot. Other than that, there's very few that are kind of any real size. And I guess from my view, if the town is looking to have kind of this walkable downtown area, I think by far and away the greatest opportunity is where the sewer is going to be put in. That's always been an enormous hindrance to trying to do things in town. And now that that's coming in, I think that's going to grease a lot of skids. I think one of the things that, you know, whoever is thinking about all this needs to keep front of mind is this parking challenge. You know, depending on what kind of businesses the town would like to see along this stretch, I think it's great. I think a lot of the zoning stuff is a positive one from a business owner and also as a resident. But I think this parking thing is a very, very real problem. I don't know where all these people are going to park. You know, from our perspective, I don't want to say artificially, but we are capped in terms of our headcount capacity on our building. It's one of the very main reasons, if not the main reason why, you know, as a number of people on this call already know, that we're probably not going to be here much longer. We've been forced to kind of entertain an opportunity outside of Norton, which kills us because we've spent, again, as many people on this call know, we've spent a huge amount of time and a huge amount of energy doing absolutely everything we can to stay in town. But once sewers go in, our kind of minuscule headcount that we have now goes from 49 up to about 74 people. For our particular business, that's just not big enough. We just, you know, and it's not a square footage of the building issue. It's purely a parking issue. And whether, you know, we stay or we go, I think we've proven, hopefully folks agree, that we've got a very viable option and what I hope is attractive. I appreciate it's all kind of temporary right this second, given this COVID stuff and the Jersey barriers and stuff. But, you know, I think whether it's us or someone else, this building could be a really, really attractive piece and a huge stepping stone towards this kind of walkable downtown area. But again, there's nowhere to park. You know, I think if you guys talk to Nico over, whose family owns the plaza where Norton House is, you know, I've been in there a number of times where quite literally every single spot in his lot is taken up by folks at the senior center. Because they, for whatever reason, don't want to park out back, or there's no parking at the senior center. You know, to the point where Nico's had to kind of grumble and walk across the parking lot and ask people to move. And that's just for, you know, I don't want to diminish it because the place is awesome, but that's for really a takeout pizza place and a takeout bagel place. If you want to have anywhere where people are going to be spending some time, sit down cafes and outdoor spaces and things like that, again, not to belabor the point, but people need to park somewhere. And with the size of all of these lots on this stretch, and the constant battle of wetlands throughout the entire town, I just don't know where you're going to put these cars. So, you know, if this is, you know, we look at this lot as really kind of especially once sewers goes in, really one of the most prime lots in town, frankly. But if the town is going to hold on to it longer term, especially with the substation, I think that's a great point. If that's such a shame, because that's a beautiful lot as well, one of the bigger ones in town. But if that lot is going to stay in its current configuration for any length of time, you've got quite a bit of land there that's just sitting there doing nothing, frankly. And you know, again, whether we're here or not, I don't know that it's huge dollars to, I don't even know they'd have to pave it, you know, just paint some lines and do an internet, you know, they have those online payment systems now. You charge people $1 per 5 hours. But having somewhere where people can put their cars, to Michael's point, of parking and then walking, I think it would be a huge boost, and it would be an infrastructure piece that's desperately needed to draw businesses to the area. And I'll shut up now.
No, I think you bring a great perspective as a resident and business owner who has been looking to grow. I think thank you for sharing that perspective with us. So Mike, would there be any initial cost associated with this, or is this something that would be reviewed internally?
We'll review it internally. And, you know, with the conservation agent and Keith and, you know, as Brian said, might not even require pavement, you know, just we'll look at all different options.
Can I just ask that you two reach out to National Grid, or it's not National Grid anymore, who's now our electricity supplier, Constellation, and find out if that substation, if there's any plan. I know that there's an expense to all this stuff, but is there any future plans on another substation or moving that one, or what are the hurdles? Just kind of understanding. I don't think it's ever going to get moved, but I'd rather ask the question than not ask and be like, oh yeah, we could make it happen. So.
All right. Cool. So I think with that discussion, Chair entertained a motion to support the internal zero cost review of utilizing a portion of parcel 178 for a municipal town public parking area.
So moved.
So moved.
All right, I got 3 motions, and I think that converts to.
And I'll take a second. I'll take the second.
All right, Mike.
I saw all of that. I read that.
Yeah. Brad.
Yes.
Michael.
Aye.
Renee.
Yes.
And I too say yes. All right. Thank you for bringing that up to us, Mike. What kind of timeline do you think we'd be looking at before we get any sort of recommendation or assessment?
I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. I know we have a consultant actually that through a grant that's going to be working in that area. So we'll talk with them also.
All right, excellent. Great. All right, so that was 3, 4, 5. And because we do things backwards sometimes here, we're going to jump back to.
I was like, wow, we're moving through this agenda really quickly. But
we're off to such a good start. So we're continuing our review of the fiscal year 22 budgets. This evening we have veterans, memorial and vets, council on aging, unemployment, miscellaneous, municipal building, legal, and finance committee. So, Mike, are you going to share? You want me to share?
I can share. This is the Council on Aging budget. So the Council on Aging now has 3 staff people. Last year, not for a full year, but later in the year, they received funding for a part-time clerk. They also have the outreach coordinator and the director. And then as far as their expenses, there's a slight increase in their expenses. Mainly repair, maintenance of equipment was $1,000 and a couple hundred on electricity and $300 for their propane, natural gas. A lot of the expenses and programs that they run at the Council on Aging are funded by the grant they get from the state. But everyone there has been doing a great job. We're very fortunate that we did hire a clerk to work there this year with everything they've been dealing with. And, the outreach counselor has done a great job working with the residents of Norton. And, we really do appreciate everything they've had to deal with this year, is seeing getting food for seniors, and now dealing with the vaccinations. And they've really adapted well. I know they wish it was all over, but they've been doing a great job.
Any questions? Yeah, any questions on that?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Michael.
Mike, did you have a chance to ask Beth what's not on this that she would, what she would like to see on there?
I will ask her that, and I will get that for you. I would bet that she'd say more hours for the outreach counselor, but I'll ask her that.
Hey, Mike, what does the repair maintenance cover? It's a slight increase, but.
The repair maintenance of equipment, that would be, I'm wondering if the slight increase is because of the new generator that was put in and a contract that they might have for that. I'll check with Beth on that.
Okay. And is there anything that we should account for, given the age of that building, in the next line item for the repair maintenance of the building itself?
No, anything that they have to do will be addressed as we go along, but she doesn't seem to think it's worth putting too much money into the building on anything right now, just to keep it going.
With that said, is the generator, if the plan goes the way it goes, they're gonna be in a couple of years. There's no salvageability of any of the air conditionings or, right? They put a new air conditioning, or is it just the generator that's?
Just the generator.
There's no salvageability, right, from any of that stuff?
No, for the generator, there probably would be, because it's new.
Did we buy that, Mike, or is that leased?
We own the generator.
There was a redeployment, right, from somewhere else?
No, that was a new generator.
It was a new one.
Yep.
Yeah, they got some capital from the state, I believe, right, Mike?
We did, yep, there was a line item for that.
That's right, and we had a local electrical firm install that. I remember that now.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty brass. It's pretty bare bottoms budget.
Yeah.
It's like,
And we think back to the day when we didn't even have any budget for Council on Aging.
Or we had no council on aging, right? Wasn't that something that got nixed in 2009 or 8?
2008, it was all volunteer. When I started here 10 years ago, it was all volunteer.
And it's amazing because it's such a critical service to the community.
It is. And the amount of calls before we finally got staff people, the amount of calls I was taking from area communities screaming at me because all our people were going to them for services. And it just showed the need that we had. A lot of people thought, well, Council on Aging, that's just for activities. But it isn't. That's obviously part of it. So there's a social aspect, but also the human services aspect is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And
but I think,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, you know, like we talked about with Parks and Rec, I mean, coming out of COVID, like people need this social interaction. So these, you know, like the services that they provide, I think are especially important now as we transition back into, you know, whatever that new normal looks like.
And as I get into the next budget, veterans, you know, Beth and Estelle, two great people working for this town. Now, the amount of time they put in and the calls they get, services they do on weekends at the drop of a hat, you know, they're always there to help. And so Estelle's budget is Estelle and a part-time clerk. And then the standard expenses, and obviously the major cost is veterans benefits. And the budget is the request is 230,000. And any veterans benefits covered under 151 are 75% reimbursed by the state. And Estelle's done a great job in documenting and providing the state with the required paperwork. And it doesn't happen all the time in, you know, all the communities, but Estelle does a great job with that to make sure that we do get our reimbursement.
So if I'm following that, it looks like it's call it a $26,000 increase in veterans benefits, but 75% of that would be reimbursed, essentially.
Right, yeah, her request is the same as she requested for this year, 230,000, and that's also what she requested in FY21, but it would be 75% reimbursed. She just doesn't know, you know, who's gonna come forward and need services.
Very good, yeah, I misread that, thank you.
Mike, is there, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Of course.
This year, we've come across a lot of grants. I believe Estelle, if I'm not mistaken, Estelle came across a grant this year as well, but I could be wrong about that. Are other departments, are we leaving money on the table because we're not investigating grants enough, just because we're so thin on staff and all that? Has it been thought about trying to either change someone's role in there to kind of really get a grip on this, or are we tackling it the best we can? We're well aware of all the grants out there, but we're not eligible or not getting them.
Yeah, we do. We work, every department works on grants that are available for them. As I said, Beth has attained quite a few grants this year. Veterans, Estelle will work through foundations and things like that for direct assistance to veterans. So, you know, everyone does anything that's out there, they go for it.
Okay, so they're aware of it. We're going for it. It's not. What I would hate to see is, because we do run things pretty thin staff-wise, that we just don't have the bandwidth to make sure we're applying or even about grants that we're leaving on the table.
In a perfect world, we'd actually have a grants writer that could actually be well-versed in all the different departments, but that's sort of the standard anywhere you go.
Did you watch that meeting when we had that conversation?
Yeah, I feel like this is the chorus coming up, Renee.
It is. Meg, you are right on track.
You're welcome. I'm the new guy.
This is my world, and I can't tell you how much of grants and funding that just goes underutilized every single day, because there's not enough staff to actually figure out what's available. It's sad.
Yeah. There was one that Paul DiGiuseppe talked about that had potential. It was like 800,000, and I believe I got that number right. And he's like, we're going to try, but you know, they don't have a lot of staff. And I have to give credit to the town employees, because they have done a really good job. I think Paul and Jen and several others have done a really good job of trying to carve out that time and, you know, finding ways to get this grant money. But you're absolutely right, Megan. We talked about that too, and then you know, COVID hit.
So Mike, is there anywhere in the budget that, even for I'm not looking to hire someone, obviously that's this, but is there a consultant that basically can investigate the grants and make sure we're not missing opportunities on grants? Has that discussion on outsourcing that organization?
What we've done is when there's grants available, if we need assistance on applying for certain grants, we've used the planning agency, the Southeastern Regional Planning Agency has helped us in applications. They're great.
Okay.
Mike, are you talking about Chirpit?
Yes.
How are we doing with hours with them?
I'm not sure. This year we're pretty much, everything's pretty much booked.
Mike, in the annual report, do we list the grants separately, or is it just within each section of their own departments?
In their own departments, they'd list what grants they got.
It may be a consideration. I know that where space is tight or whatever, but it'd be good to see that as kind of a separate pullout, just annually, that the town is just trying to do to pull money in. I think it'd be an interesting, I think it would be a nice call out in the annual report.
I think that's a great idea. And I think as we talk about the importance of grants and grant writing, I think we can look to what Chief Simmons has done with one of his new deputy chiefs. The additional funds that he was able to get through the SAFER grants, there's been equipment grants. That is truly a model of how well this can work. I'm sure he's more than paid for whatever salary increase there was for that position, probably tenfold at this point. So
you got the additional salary, 3 years worth of salaries for was it 8 people? No, not that many. A lot of people. So, yeah.
What did we talk about last time? Was it 35,000 that we wanted to put in the budget to? I know we didn't get to like the finals, but to either hire a consulting agency for grants or to hire a person. Was that the number 35 or 55?
Well,
35 sounds about right, but
yeah, what I'm putting in my budget this year is 40,000 that we could use for professional services for HR, or if we need, we could use it for grant writing.
Do you think that's enough, Mike?
Say that again, Renee.
Do you think that's enough?
It's a start. I would think talking to some of the HR professionals and, the amount of hours we'd want to try and get some services for, they seem to think that would be enough. And there should be some money there if we had to hire a grant writer to help us for a certain grant.
Mike, are you going to go through these budgets, or do you want to just jump right into it? Are you going to go through your budgets here? Because obviously we're going through like the professional.
Yep. I just, the other part of Estelle's, she also has the memorial and vets portion, and this is for flags around town and any of the holders she needs for flags at the cemeteries, and if there's any costs associated with any of the parades, which obviously this year we didn't have any, so the expenses this year have been very small. We only spent $175 so far in the 2000.
And the 2000 is flat from last year.
Yes.
Has the town ever done flags on the poles along 123 at all? I'm just talking way back when, or even.
They do it. We do it for every holiday, every Veterans Day, Memorial Day.
I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember those down in 123. I did for some reason.
Yeah, I know.
4th of July, 4th of July, it's done.
Yeah.
That's right, I've seen those a lot of times, and I can't wait to attend the Memorial Day Parade and the Veterans Day Parade in person soon, right?
Don't forget about the spring bunny. Hey, Hey, Mike, in respect to, you know, we approved, or we supported last year, I think it was last year, the Purple Heart, the town becoming a Purple Heart, I don't know the correct terminology number, but,
Purple Heart Community.
thank you. Have we seen an increase, or have people reached out who, and I, you know, I know that we talked about people being humble and not really communicating that they've won the Purple Heart, but, or been awarded the Purple Heart, but have we seen any additional participation from people in the community?
I know that Estelle has had a few people that she was surprised. You know, they didn't want any acknowledgement, but that came forward. I'll talk to her and see see what she's seeing from it.
Okay, I remember the signs being up, but I don't think they've been up for a while. That would be great. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. The next budget is just the Finance Committee budget, and this is really just for their clerical services, advertising, printing. They print one of the warrants a year, and any dues and subscriptions to the MMA.
Okay. It's a pretty good sized jump from last year.
Where are we?
Finance 131, Finance Committee.
Yep. In FY19, they spent $1,725 on their clerical services. Last year, they lost their clerk, and we're catching up on the minutes now. And so, you know, 1,200 was obviously low based on what the 1,725 was the year before. So
Do we have a clerk now for FinCom?
we do. Pat Tarantino.
Oh, I remember. Sorry.
And we're interviewing now for another person just to catch up on the old minutes.
Okay, so it looks more anomalous than it is because there was a reduction last year.
Right.
Substantial reduction.
Yep. Okay. The next budget is just the unemployment. And right now the request is 130,000, which is the same as last year. And obviously this is a budget that we don't know what we're going to have, but something that could possibly be reduced as the need arises as we go through trying to balance the budget. Something that could always be added in the fall if we have to prop it back up.
Mike, was there any determination or guidance? Are we on the hook for some of the fraudulent?
No, actually, Catherine Van Dyne's done a great job in being very diligent. We had a consultant that we used to use, and we're just giving up on them. I don't know whether they got inundated with all the fraudulent claims this year, but they were not really helping. And Catherine just took it on and was able to get reimbursement for a lot of the original claims.
Well, I think this is a good story, right? That we have minimal expenditures in this category.
Yeah. And you always will have some, you know, especially say in the school department, there's always people that they may not keep on for the following year, you know, so there's always going to be something in unemployment. It's never going to be zero.
So Mike, so just for my knowledge, they don't have their own unemployment line in their budget?
No, this is the whole town.
Has there ever been a discussion slap me around here, it doesn't make sense to your budget.
No, it really doesn't. You know, we can't, we have one account with the state and it's just easier to do it this way.
That makes a lot more sense. I was like, wow, that's huge. That number's huge. And I figured you were putting it up and say bring it down, but now that you've some of the schools in there.
All right.
Excellent. Miscellaneous, municipal building or legal?
Legal is next. And legal, I've reduced it a little bit. This year we spent, you know, we had negotiations, we had the Charter Commission, yeah, we had, so there were some expenses for that won't be there next year. So I've reduced it down to 80,000 from the 90,000 that we put in this year.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mike.
Mike, I know that Mike, you know, you and I had spoken once before, and
Mhm.
you know, had you thought about doing underneath the legal services sublines into different departments? So you kind of put almost a understanding or a backstop. Obviously, some departments are using this more than others.
So Jennifer is doing a breakout for me on, and when Copman and Page bills us, they spell out where it all, what services were provided and to who they were provided. So Jennifer has been keeping track of that. And I just think it's better this way because people have to come to me to ask for the use of the town council. They just can't automatically use town council. So it's a way for us to keep a handle on it. And if we, rather than give someone a budget that they may not need and have it sit there, this way we can keep an eye on it.
But you don't think you want to still lump it as one legal services, not, I'll give you an example, the planning department, legal services, and then planning department within that budget is line item there. So it's, you can see that there's I mean, we have to defend what we have to defend, but what it does is I think it calls out specifically as we're getting updates annually on budgets where the legal fees are being spent, right? I mean, it's
yeah, I can get that for you because actually the finance committee asked for that. You know, I can get that for you, but I just don't want to give departments a legal budget that they can just use however they want to use it. I'd rather have them come and request the services.
Okay.
But I think to Michael's point, it might be beneficial for us to see, or perhaps it goes in the town report, a breakdown of where the legal fees go. Again, just for visibility.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of keeping it in one pot that you can keep control over, make sure no one runs rampant.
Okay, next is municipal building. So purchase of services, that's for our cleaning company, our paper shredding company, electricity. I've reduced that this year. You know, we're getting credits from our Hill Street landfill. And as you can see, we've only, through December, we only spent $11,675. So it's really been a benefit to us. The propane natural gas, asking for the same 32,000. Water and sewer, an increase from 5,400 to 6,000. Repair maintenance of equipment, 22,000. and repair maintenance of buildings, 45,000. We have the garbage removal, $8,650, and just the same for supplies, copy costs.
Mike, when you, on the garbage removal, was that the contract that, I mean, I know it's a contract we approved or supported. Was that a 3-year contract? Do you remember? Was that annual?
It's not annual. I'm trying to think if it was 2 or 3. I don't remember whether it was 2 or 3, but no, it's more than 1 year.
Okay, and when you talk about the Hill Street, that's the solar farm now on Hill Street.
Right, yeah.
Mr. Chair, Mike, if the debt exclusion doesn't pass, where do I'm assuming this budget blows up, correct?
Yeah, if the debt exclusion doesn't pass, then we'll, I don't know if this budget will blow up, but we'll have to have an article for a new roof. I'll have to go over with the building commissioner on other issues that we'll have to address. But definitely we need a new roof, number one.
And does this budget reflect, where are we? Have we fixed the items we were cited on a year ago? Have we completed that list of improvements? And does this budget reflect continuous maintenance of those issues that were found before?
Yeah, we've addressed all those issues. Most of it was signage and the fire exit signs and just making sure that the stairwells and hallways are clear. And matter of fact, we just have to keep an eye on that. And matter of fact, the fire chief and I were down in the basement the other day, and all of a sudden stuff appeared in the hallway again, so we had to clear that out. But
personally, I would love to see you guys put together a report, a public report, even maybe makes the town report again, that you just annually, the fire chief and the building inspector and you are walking through that building, going through the list and just making it public. We've inspected the building. We're up to, our people are safe, right? I mean, that's the big thing, right? I mean, we know the situation that you're working in that building, and we know the problems with the building, but I want to make sure that we're not putting people at risk, obviously.
And you'll be glad to find that that Keith found a company that will take paper for free. So clearing out all Lucia's junk in the basement, and he's going to truck the paper to this place, and they're going to take it all.
Will you will you correct yourself and stop calling? Stop picking on Lucia. Come on. The way you said.
She's not even here to defend herself.
I was hoping she was still on.
Yeah. Okay. And the one other, is this miscellaneous? I know this is municipal. Okay.
Want me to get back up there?
No, I'm good. We have to do miscellaneous, right?
Yes. Let me grab that. So miscellaneous expenses, gas and diesel, number one, 120,000 is the request. Getting nervous with the price of fuel going up, so hopefully that doesn't continue. Workers' comp, and then we have this is all the other insurances. Medicaid reimbursement, that's an expense. We never used to budget for that, but the auditors said we should. So the school department gets reimbursement for some students that have services that are covered under Medicaid, and we get they reimbursed for that, and this is the expense. We pay a certain percentage of the money that we is returned to the town through that program. We pay a certain percentage to the agency that gets that for them. Right now they use UMass, I know. Professional services, 7,000. School board insurance liability. Now this has to be adjusted. I talked to the insurance agent the other day because the question was raised, well, why did the school board insurance go double? And it's because they made an error. If you look down, let me see where public official insurance, that went down. And if you take the difference, you'll see. So instead of the public official going down to 20,000 as it did this year, it should have been more into that $38,000, $39,000 range. So, you know, the school board insurance, what they did is they had put that in with the school board insurance somehow. They messed up on the calculation on that.
What's the liability amount on that? Do you know? No?
That would
On
be
both of those.
the package policy, that is all our property insurance. And then our vehicle insurance, employee bonds,
So it's all together, okay.
public official liability insurance, insurance deductibles, police and fire deductibles, and law enforcement liability.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Mike, the only thing that really does worry me, and I understand why you're doing it, is the professional services and lumping the HR professional in there. I think it's critical that this is the year that we define it as an HR budget and actually, I think you cannot, Mike, you're doing a great job managing this team, but you cannot be the HR person. The senior person cannot be the HR person. And I think we have to have and create a policy and put it in the budget that we need someone besides yourself that is that person. And if maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but I think we have to make a stand and really put it into budget as a separate line item.
I would strongly support that as well, Michael.
Mike, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I mean, I know you as an HR person, you can't have them. There has to be a safe place to go.
I agree.
So can we make a revision to the chart?
Yeah, that's not in this budget. That will be in my budget that I do later.
Okay. Did you have, let me ask you this, Mike, did you have an HR person listed in your budget?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I thought this was your budget, so I'll add that. But if you had HR, if you were thinking professional services was part of the HR budget, I would reduce that and make sure that it's called out in your budget.
I'll do that. I'll make sure.
And that's not and I'll tell you right now, that's the one thing I'm gonna fight with everyone here and the finance committee. That's the one thing that this year we cannot punt on anymore. We really need to have HR representation for the town.
Thank you.
So I have one question on that one, Mike. So what jumped out at me is that in terms of the amount appropriated last year, we are very close to that amount already through half the year. I suspect a big piece of that is probably all the insurance premiums, which are paid probably earlier in the year. But is there any concern that we're gonna go over there?
I'm going to go over all that with the insurance agent before the final budget is submitted to make sure.
And have we done any risk analysis on this versus what we're paying for liability insurance? I mean, is it, I know we paid for it and we have a certain amount of coverage and so on and so forth, but have we actually done that have we ever done that, looked in and what the risk was versus what we pay on the premiums?
No, just working with the agent, that's all. And we had a risk insurance person on the board before, so we always ran everything by him.
I mean, I just want to make sure that we're not just spending money to spend money on stuff. And I'm not an expert, I'm not an arbitrage person, but I just want, that we're not spending money on insurance on things that there may be very little risk, so.
We always would get that free services every year. Any change in policy, we always had Mike look at it.
Okay.
Sorry, I do have one additional question, Mike, and I apologize if you addressed this, on the workers' compensation line. We had appropriated $215,145, that we've expended $235,924. Did that get supplemental funding?
No, because the bottom line of the miscellaneous category, so whatever the insurances come in, it would just get adjusted to cover it, as long as there's enough money in the total at the bottom.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else on budgets? All right. So we've gone 1, 3, 4, 5, 2. So we'll go back to 1. So we have old business update on marijuana establishments.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I put a tortilla chip in my mouth.
I caught her off guard.
You did. So Mike can certainly add to this. So he and I had a meeting last week on one of the HCA's that were submitted to the town. It is now with town council, but we hope within the next week that we'll reach back out to them and then schedule a meeting to close that up and provide some additional information. That is in respect to the Lucky Green Ladies and the delivery license that they've applied or sent us an HCA for. We also have another HCA for property on, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but Hill Street, next to the solar farm. So Mike and I are meeting on that, and then we'll meet in the line on that and then work with town council as well, and then reach back out to the applicant for further discussion. That particular one has not been in front of the EDC, so one of the things that we'll advise the applicant is to present to the EDC first, receive a recommendation to move it on to the select board, and then we'll discuss it here. The other thing that we've noticed, we did some updates to the host community agreement late last year. There are some additional ones based on the change in the CCC regulations. So I'm working on updates. I'll take those through Mike and then through the EDC, and then we'll come back to the board to review and approve the host community agreement template so that we can make updates to that and post a new version out on our website. I think I mentioned the last meeting that we have bylaw updates that are currently under review with town council for the annual town meeting. The other thing too, Mike, I hope I can speak to this, but Mike brought up a really good point that we hadn't done yet in respect to the community impact fee that we receive from the applicants within the town. The community impact fee is designated for certain expenses that we essentially have to track. So he had suggested that we open a revolving fund for that. So we've asked town council about that. If she suggests that, yes, we should open a revolving fund, that'll be one of the articles that we put on the special town meeting. So we'll have further discussion on it, but I think it's a good approach so that we keep those expenses separate, as well as, the revenue that's generated from that. And I think that's it. Mike, is there anything I missed?
I have one question, Renee. Are you able to disclose what type of facility is considering over on Hill Street?
Yeah, it's a cultivator, manufacturer, and delivery. So it's one of those, it's a location that, from the EDC perspective, and Paul's been really good about publicizing the location. It's a good location from the perspective of traffic and impact on the community. So I think it's really a positive step for the town.
And that would not be a retail location, just to
Correct.
clarify.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, at this point, we have no additional retail licenses. So until we had a change in our existing alcohol licenses, we wouldn't entertain additional retail establishments here. But as we voted, I don't know, it's been several months now, right? Should we have the ability to have a third retail license, we would re-engage with the Lucky Green Ladies on that, as that was one of the approved or the recommended applicants from the marijuana subcommittee. Marijuana review subcommittee. Sorry, I missed that.
So you mentioned that the amount of retail licenses is tied to alcohol licenses. How many more alcohol licenses would trigger another retail?
Just one.
Okay. What's the ratio? Is that like 2 to 1, 3 to 1?
It's so the state requires that if you accept, if you're, I'm not going to put this the right way, but if you're like a marijuana open community, that you have to have a minimum of 20%, and that's.
I just couldn't remember what the ratio was. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for Renee or Mike? All right, seeing none, we're on to town manager's reports. Update on health insurance.
Just wanted to let you know that obviously, unfortunately, as a result of COVID again, that people just aren't able to go to the doctor for services as much as they may need to. Hopefully people aren't ignoring anything they have to do. But anyways, because of that, our health insurance is doing really well this year. So the health insurance group voted to have a health insurance holiday for the month of May. So there'll be no bill to the town. So all the employees won't have any health insurance taken out in April because they pay in advance. And, you know, the town, that'll be about probably around $700,000 savings to the town. So some good news.
Really?
Yes.
That's great.
Mike, you should have led with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
Wow.
you buried that. Well,
Someone get a shovel so we can dig that lead up. My God, that's amazing. Okay.
So which eventually be certified as free cash next year. So that's good. Just some grant updates as we were talking about that parking area in the downtown area. You know, that Paul, through the planning director, was able to obtain a grant. And this will be, it's $30,000, and the state actually hires the consultant, and they've assigned Boston Survey Consultants to work with Norton to develop a plan, a comprehensive plan in the downtown area. So that would be a great help, and we'll have them look at that parking lot as part of it. And I know Paul had talked to the EDC about this also. Another grant that we're getting, and these services will be provided by the state also. This was in conjunction with the school department and the town, cybersecurity awareness grant. So this is a program that the state has set up to work with communities, schools, and the town to train all employees better on cybersecurity. And so the state is going to do that for us. And there will be trainings, and they will actually do some spot checks, sending people emails and see if they open them as part of this. And just a way to protect all the infrastructure that we have from being attacked. So that'll, Karen Winsper, am I saying that correctly? Sorry. From the school department, and Charlene Fisk will be working on that, so that'll help.
I'm guessing 80% will get opened.
Mike, I'd like to,
Not after the training.
right, I'd like to add to that really the employee training, it's people think it's just training, but it's so fundamental to the awareness and just the entire process to be better positioned to avoid a cyber issue. And I think the phishing campaign that they'll be doing to see if people do, I imagine they're going to do whether or not they click on a link, right? And then it's going to say, hey, you clicked this link and you shouldn't have. I think that it's fantastic, and I think it's something that I know we talked over a year ago about our cyber posture and where we were at that. So I think this is fantastic, and I think it's a great initiative. So congrats to those who move this forward.
And just the state came out with the state coronavirus prevention fund to help the schools, so Norton is going to receive 2 payments of $49,675. One they received in February, and they'll receive another one in January to help out with COVID safety measures in the schools. So hopefully there's more money coming, obviously, but that'll help out. And I don't know if I ever brought this up before, but it was asked the other day, so it reminded me that as part of our streetlight conversion program, we did receive 2 grants. The last one was in November, came in November, and one in June. So we did receive, as part of the conversion, $77,331 towards that. So one was this MAPC grant, and one was a National Grid grant. So that helped out defray some of that costs.
Can I ask a question about the LED lights? I was talking with somebody about this earlier in the week, so this is great timing. I know we're saving on the energy cost for the bulbs, but I've heard that the bulbs themselves are rented, and that the rental cost in some cases can exceed the energy savings cost. I didn't know if that was.
We don't rent, we own the lights, and we don't rent any bulbs.
Okay. All right, so this is a homeowner who pays National Grid for an LED light. And so he must have a better deal.
And the next meeting I'll bring, it's amazing, because actually Jen came to me the other day and said, this is all we're paying for street lights now? It is amazing what a difference. I'll bring that to the next meeting.
Great.
Has there been any dissatisfaction, Mike, from the residents? Has any feedback, good or bad?
Not really. I haven't heard anything, to be honest with you.
It looks exactly the same.
Oh, it's definitely not as bright as before. They're not as bright as before. It's
Thank God, because I'm always complaining down the Cape, the light in front of my house is too bright. Same here. Unfortunately, I have one outside my bedroom here and one outside my bedroom down the Cape.
All right.
I just want to also, CARES Act funding was next. The CARES Act funding, they've extended the deadline. So we have until next December to expend the funds that we have. And we currently have about $390,000, I believe, left in the CARES Act. The only concern we have is we've put in $526,000 under FEMA and haven't received a penny yet. So, you know, we're nervous about that reimbursement. We hope everything comes through, but the CARES Act, I mean, we received the money, so hopefully.
FEMA was for the food. FEMA was for the food.
It was, a lot of the stuff was split 25-75 between the CARES Act and FEMA. There were certain expenses, as soon as you put them in, they'd direct 75% one way and 25 the other way. So a lot of the food, 75% of it would be FEMA, so hopefully it's covered.
Have we reached out to our congressman or anyone on that?
We will. It's typical FEMA though. A lot of times you don't get, even, you know, with storms, and we put in all our paperwork, sometimes it's a year or 2 years before we see the money. It's typical.
Like, who's on point for following up with FEMA?
Rebecca Maury from the fire department has been handling all that.
I'm sure she's pleased with that task.
I've heard she's very good at it.
Very
The one that was commended, yeah.
The next thing, I just wanted to see if the board had any feelings on opening of town hall. We're still the same. You know, people. And to see if the board had any.
My thought would be, and I'm dependent on what the vote tonight was for the schools. But if I saw the schools open full time, I would recommend we would follow their schedule.
So that has been announced. Renee, it looked like you might have it in front of you.
I do. So this, in respect to the schools, pre-K through 5th grade will go full in person on March 23rd. And then next week, they'll provide more information on the other grades and specifics for return. So I think to Michael's point, Michael, I don't know necessarily that we would follow school. And I only say that because schools throughout this pandemic have proven not to be a super spreader based on, primarily based on the mitigations that they put in place. I think they've been very diligent across the nation in respect to that. I think, Mike, to your point, I think it's something that we should consider every meeting and see where we are, but wait for more information from Baker and his administration to see whether or not we want to actually open town hall. I think we're in a position right now where we just moved to the 65 and older population, and then teachers, you know, starting, but I think we need to give it a little more time for more vaccinations to take place.
Just to give you the Board of Health agent's perspective, when I had asked him about March 22nd, he seemed very concerned, and he said, you know, is there any way that we can wait until 14 days after Easter? I'm just concerned that, you know, that the same thing could happen after that holiday that happened after Christmas. So I know he has a concern about opening. So I'll have it on the agenda every week, and we can just whatever.
Yeah, and we haven't seen any significant disruption, right, in providing services to the town?
Have not.
Okay.
And Renee, you can say that, but there have been residents that really just to make an appointment, they want to go to town hall, and I understand, and you know, I actually liked Chris's idea of 40. He's absolutely right. I mean, there's going to be a little spike probably after Easter, but you know, one of the things I really kind of look at a certain amount of fairness and so forth, and if the schools are going to be opening up, I really do still feel that we follow the track of the schools and so forth. So
I appreciate that, Michael, but it's a different population, right? It's the kids spreading versus adults spreading, and the severity and the impact of an adult contracting COVID is very different from a child. So
The exposure is much less, right? We're talking about people that might be coming into, we have shields up, every department we have shields up, and we're looking at probably time spent in the town hall, less than probably 15 minutes.
but they can still do that, right? I mean, we're doing it by appointment only, so it's not like we're not allowing the opportunity.
It's the
Yeah,
residence building.
I agree that we should be cautious. It's a totally different population, population that's seen the brunt of the more serious forms of COVID. And I think that we should take our time getting out of this mess. It's not something that we can just wish away and think it's going to go away quickly. It's going to take a while until we get the vaccinations out there in people's arms.
It's not disrupting, and it's not disrupting town services. If it was, versus the schools, it's disrupting learning, but we've been functioning fine.
Yeah, and I think the difference is too, the schools did a lot to improve the HVAC, and I don't think we had that capability in town hall. And with the discussion with those employees, like I remember Estelle making a comment, right? She's in that very small office, people come in. And Mike, I don't know the opportunity that we have in front of us to use CARES funding to improve, it's not air quality, but air filtration and take it, Jack, because I know you know exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you can improve the airflow and the filtration in there. MERV 11s, MERV 13 filters, something on there to help provide better air purity as it goes through.
Yeah, something more than just the holes in the building walls.
Yeah, the chimney effect from the selectmen's room up to the planning board office.
Right.
And I think, trusting our health agent, who's been the one closest to this for a year, if he says he's more comfortable with 2 weeks after Easter, I'm inclined to defer to his judgment, unless there's new information emerges that perhaps changes his mind. So.
Is that 2 weeks after Easter the same as 2 weeks after the is it spring break, or I don't know what we call it, April break?
No, or Easter's early, so and then this break is April 19th that week.
Okay. Yeah.
So 2 weeks is actually the break.
So that might be something. Maybe Mike, you can talk to Chris about that as well. Because I'm sure, I can tell you, we're planning on traveling at this point. We're also expecting that we'll have to quarantine, but, I'm sure others are planning on traveling too, so that could increase our risk within the town.
So I think to Renee's point, let's keep this on our weekly agenda. We can just talk about it briefly.
Okay. And I just wanted to let the board know, April 16th at 11 a.m., it's a Friday, they're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony at Semrec, 100 High Rock Road. So if anyone's interested, let me know.
Does that include a tour?
It will.
I'm interested.
It's an amazing place when you see it.
Mike,
It's interesting getting up there. I told them you need a bigger sign on Route 1, so.
No, we don't want to tell people where it is.
Mike, I'm interested.
Okay, Peter.
So we have the mayor there as well. So I think that's great. I see update on town report as well.
We need to get it to the publisher by March 10th.
Oh, wow.
So we still need to talk about a dedication. I had posited an idea that we do not acknowledge any specific individual Instead, we recognize the community for the way it has come together over the past year, supporting one another through all manner of challenges. Still going on to this day with some of the GoFundMes for a few Norton residents. So I'm throwing that out there.
My only comment on that is that this is the town report is as of ending June 30th, and I think those items might be better suited for next year. For next year's town report.
I agree.
I agree.
It doesn't make sense, but I do agree that it's a report that's backdated.
All reports like that are always the year out, so.
So Jack, that means please write them for last year and this year so that we're prepared next year, because we think it's a brilliant idea.
I'll get right on that, Renee. All right, so my idea is though, next person up, and if you...
It's not out, it's just postponed for next year's report.
All right, whoever proposes it needs to write it. That's the rules that I understand them to be.
Notice I haven't said a word, Jack.
I gave my opinion recently and months ago on who I think it should be dedicated to, but it's up to the board.
And who was that, Renee?
That was Miss Steele, Mrs. Steele.
Mr. Chair, could you just maybe, can we just maybe do this offline here and send an email around, and we'll just decide through an email, or is that appropriate?
If we could agree tonight, unless it needs to be a surprise, I think this is a relatively minor cosmetic matter for the board, so we can certainly chat and email, or we can send suggestions to Mike individually. How's that? Super fantastic.
I have no problems, Jack, insisting with the write-up if needed on my potential nomination. It's not really a nomination, but I like the word.
So if
Mr. Units, before we move on.
Yep.
Mike, where do we stand with the excise report, the excise bills and all that? We should be at this point have an idea of what it's going to look like and coming in on the budget and so forth. Have you gotten it on that?
I'll get you that from James.
Okay, thank you.
And just a couple other things. We did receive notification that we've met the designation for a green community. So that will be good with obtaining grants for energy improvements. And also, now that the project at 195 Mansfield Ave is approved, it has been put on the inventory by the state. We're over our 10% when it comes to 40Bs. So
that's fantastic. Do we have a timeline now that that's approved of build out and occupancy?
I don't. I will ask them. I'll try and get a time frame from them. But so now if anyone wants to do affordable housing, they'll have to, you're not forced to bypass all the zoning regulations, unless you want to do a friendly 40B at some point. But other than that, you can't be forced.
That does not include any applications that came before this time, correct?
No. So the 10% would be any that are approved already. Applications that were already in would still keep going.
Thank you.
I mean, realistically, we may end up, I was talking to Paul about this today, we may end up at around the 12% because we've got two other projects on top of this one that are still 40B that have their applications in prior to us going to go into that. So.
Okay. Very good. Anything else, Mike?
Nope. Just remember with your dedication, you have to write a dedication too. So
Yes.
Are you directing that to Jack?
Well, if you guys liked my idea, then I would have written it, so.
Just so you know,
It's
Jack,
fair, buddy.
I love your idea.
I love your idea too. It's just appropriate for the town report for the current year.
I'll hop in my time machine and send it there. Hopefully I'm still around.
It's on a time machine.
Good. Okay, select board report and mail. Anyone have anything they would like to share today? Oh, Renee.
I just had a question for discussion on the information that we received about Mike's Pizza from ABCC and the indefinite, or was it the indefinite suspension of the license? To understand, Mike, and I'm sure you're positioned to answer this, but to understand what does that mean? So is it just the liquor license that was suspended, or was it also the license to operate an eatery as well?
It was just the liquor license that was suspended at that time.
But it's already been overturned.
It has been overturned?
Yeah, we already got something on it.
Oh, did I miss that?
It literally came out like right after it was over. It was.
Right.
Really?
It was like a day after.
How did I miss that?
And what was the rationale for that, Mike? At that point, I didn't read it. Like, it literally was like, they gave all the reasons why they were shut down, and then 24 hours later, they were back.
They were able
They might.
to work with a local labor person to show that they had either made significant improvements or commitments to improve. And upon receiving that, the ABCC suspended their suspension.
I did ask Mike to touch base with Chief Clark, who, right, Mike, that usually does follow-ups on these types of letters. Do you want to kind of expand on our conversation today, Mike?
Yeah, we were talking about Chief Clark and the Board of Health agent, following up with them with a warning, in response to your suspension from the ABCC, that there will be periodic checks and, you have to adhere to all the guidelines, so.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I know we talked several months ago about, local establishments that weren't following the COVID requirements. I'm a big fan of Mike's Pizza, but I can tell you we were there once during the pandemic and have not returned. So I'm definitely interested in the Board of Health taking a more proactive approach to make sure that they're following requirements if they need to. And I think, Mike, do they have within their power, if they're not following requirements, to do a similar process with the state? It doesn't involve the board, does it?
The state you can suspend someone's license too if necessary.
We have a common vic. We have the right to pull the common vic.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Anything else for report and mail? All right, seeing none. Warrants and minutes. So I have approved the following warrants. Payroll warrant PR 21-18 for the week ended February 20, 2021. Warrant dated February 25, 2021 in the amount of $1,426,894.38. Invoice warrant AP 21-35 dated February 25, 2021 in the amount of $878,174. My brain is shorting out, sorry, $878,174.20. Invoice warrant AP 21-36, dated March 4th, 2021, in the amount of $1,247,447.94.
That seems high. I'm assuming it's just some kind of quarterly payment on the 1.4 million. Jack, do you recall? Does that seem high?
I think for the payroll, that's pretty consistent, Mike.
Is it?
Yeah. I was directing that to the town manager, but I see he's off camera, so I can look at that one. I don't have it up in front of me, but I don't recall anything jumping out at me as being out there. On to minutes. December 10th was one that required some revisions. Renee, I believe you had sent those in.
I did, and I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to look at them. And I also let Jen know that I have January 21st updates too. They're handwritten though, and I haven't sent them electronically. I can commit to doing those, I hope over the next 2 weeks if the board would allow that. I'll send those to her and just confirm the December 10th.
Okay. Are we good to approve any of the ones from February? Right,
I'll admit that I haven't read any, I'm sorry.
I've read them. I read them when they were sent and I was satisfied with them. But if nobody else is ready.
I'm 18th. I read, I'm good 4 and 11.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I've read them and nothing jumped out at me. So how about Chair entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 4th, 2021 and February 11th, 2021.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
And second.
All right. Two motions, just thanks, guys. Meg?
Yes.
Oh, you good? Good. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Brad?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain, Jack, because I honestly haven't had a chance to read them.
And I vote yes. So motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstain. On to the last page here. Our next meeting's agenda, although I don't know if this is our next meeting or a meeting on the 11th. When you're muted there, Mr. Units. It's
That is a hearing you have to have on the 18th, but you'll probably next Thursday too to go over our budget.
okay. So next meeting, March 11th, 2021, and then on March 18th, 2021, we have a public hearing, 7:15 p.m. on the application of Mac and Waltz Inc., Kimberly M.J. Canova, manager for a change of stock interest to the common victualler license to expose, keep for sale, and to sell all kinds of alcoholic beverages to be drunk on the premises at 363 Old Colony Road, Norton, Mass. 02766.
Can I ask a quick question, Jack, on that?
What?
Mike, have you heard anything about any change to the emergency orders in respect to these establishments providing alcoholic beverages as part of delivery or pickup?
No change at all yet.
Thank you.
Right. Is there do we have an executive session tonight, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there any other business to come before the board?
This pandemic is almost over, so I'm urging caution and vigilance over the next few months to wear a mask, wear a chance, stay safe, and be vigilant. And the end of the pandemic is in sight. We can smell it, we can taste it, and we gotta be vigilant and be calm and be vigilant at the same time. So wear a mask, stay safe, stay vigilant, and St. Patty's Day and Easter. I'm praying that there's no spike to Easter time. So we're in the right direction. We're almost there. So hang tight.
All right. Thank you very much, Peter.
Yep.
All right, I just gotta find the language for
I don't have an electronic, Jack, but I'll make the motion from a member. Portion.
You want to share it, Michael, so Jack can read the declaration by the
I printed out.
I have it, I'm just on a different machine, so I can't share.
I can't get my.
You want me to read it, Jack? And then you can.
Sure.
The chair declares, under General Law 30A 21A3 that for the purposes of executive session will be to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining because a discussion of strategy in open session would compromise the purpose of executive session, and with the board to not return to open session at the conclusion of the open session. I move that the board go to executive session under General Law 30A 21A3 for the purposes of reasons declared by the chair, and with the board to not return to open session thereafter.
Second.
Forgot about that part.
All right, roll call vote. Meg?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Brad?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. All right, to everyone else joining us, thank you very much for participating this evening.